Alright, today I'm going to show how to do a transmission service on a 722.9 Mercedes transmission, most commonly found in a 907 Mercedes Sprinter. This transmission here. Things you're going to need. I kind of made a list here with all the part numbers. So you'll need your transmission filter, as you can see here. These one-time use bolts. Part numbers A004-990-3512. They are aluminum, so you definitely can't reuse them. They get torqued to 4 Newton meters and then 180 degree rotation. You'll need an overflow pipe, which is A222-271-0097. That's what goes on the transmission pan at the drain plug inside to set the fill level of the transmission. Definitely make sure you get this dark green one and not this light colored one that's a good bit taller. You'll need a crush washer for that specific drain plug, which that part number is N007603012102. And then your transmission gasket, which is A220-271-0380. So as far as parts goes, that should be all you need, and then some transmission fluid. I did forget to put the part number on there, so it's a 236.15 automatic transmission fluid. The part number is A000-989-6905 for the quart jugs, and you'll need 6 of those. This is a pretty intensive, like more complex service. You also need a transmission filler with a transmission fill adapter like this that screws in, and then you can fill the transmission from the bottom. There's no way to fill it any other way. Obviously, if you don't have access to one of those and you are doing this yourself DIY, you can buy something like this when that was broken for a little while. I was using this. Obviously it has red trans fluid in it for transfer cases, but since that's all I use it for. But I did have to use this for these transmission services with this attachment. If I can, I'll try to find the part number for this and share it in the description below. But like I said, this is definitely a more involved service. I don't know if I would do this service on the ground, especially if it was like the first time doing it. Crawling around on my back while having to bottom fill a transmission, even being the creature comforts of having the van up in the air like this and a nice oil caddy like that, I'd say 8 times out of 10 oil ends up on the floor. Whether it's a little bit, sometimes a lot. Transmission pan sometimes likes to fall down and slosh oil over the side, so it can be quite the messy job. So if you don't want to, get your garage floor or driveway oily, I'm not sure I'd recommend doing it yourself if you're not confident to. So I'm going to get right into it. Tools needed. You're going to need a 6mm hex, a ratchet, it's 3/8. Optional, you can use an extension, especially if you're on a 4-wheel drive, you'll need some sort of extension. Personally, I use this 8mm close quarters wobbly from Mac, and this to do my transmission pan bolts. The actual size of the bolt is an E10, as you can see here. I like using this just because of the clearance. If you don't have, obviously those wobbly sockets, you can use an adapter and an 8mm socket. But the reason I like this close quarters one is because of this bolt here. It just gets up there nicely, lots of room. Whereas this one is a lot more close. But again, still works just fine. To keep this video straightforward and just to show the process, I'm going to kind of keep it simple, not do too much explanation, just little stuff that's important, and mainly just show the process of what a transmission service involves on your Sprinter. I use my quarter drive Milwaukee Impact along with this, and then we have these license plate things for new and used cars, and they're like a thin plastic. I like to use these. So almost forgot to mention, this is a quarter drive bit driver. Something super simple, comes in most screwdriver sets like that. I use this to push out this overflow pipe. It obviously fits straight through, whereas the actual Mercedes one hits right on the edges and doesn't fit through. So it's used to push this off of the pan so that then your fluid level all of your transmission fluid drains off in the pan or from the pan, and you're not having a mostly full transmission pan when you're lowering it down. So where this comes in handy is keeping the oil off your hands. So I'll put this on there like that, go up to the transmission pan. I'll show you how I do it, but this kind of keeps the oil off my hands. And then this guy I use for putting the transmission drain plug back in, and I'll pair it with my 6mm socket. The way that works is I can put it on there like this, keep this at an angle, have the drain plug on here, and just screw that in while the transmission fluid runs off, and I don't get, you know, oily fingers, which makes it hard to turn the socket. You'll need pry bar, trim tool, and a torque wrench that goes down to 4 Newton meters. And then also I use these cutters for cutting the old washer off of the drain plug so I can get the new one on. And that should be all the tools needed. So now I'm just going to get right into it, show the process of draining off the trans fluid. Alright, so you'll need your oil catch. Go ahead and get this into place. I have the van a little higher than usual for the sake of being able to show you point of view. Make sure you're using the right one, because if you round off this drain plug bolt, it becomes quite the nightmare to get it off, and then you have to just remove the pan with the drain plug in, and it tends to make a big mess. So go ahead, get the fluid draining. Should be blue in color. While that's draining off, you can get these off your transmission pan. I usually like to tuck this wire right in there. That keeps the wire out of the line of the gasket. And over here on this side, your ISM harness is usually clicked in. So same thing, get that off of there, kind of get it up out of your way. And then here, I'll usually take this one off. I don't normally separate this shield from this clamp. I'll just pull them together. So get that one out, and then reach up here, pop it off together. Alright, so now that it's drained off a little bit, as you can see, it's just dripping. This is where this part comes in handy. So what you'll do, you'll kind of run this up the edge of the threads, and you'll be able to feel the edge of the overflow pipe like that. And now you just let it drain off a second time, and then while that's draining off, I'll usually start loosening the remainder of the bolt. I'll usually do the 4 corner, and then this one on the drain plug side. I haven't loosened this middle one over here yet. This will allow me to have control of the tip. Now just loosen this one. The transmission panel start to go down a little bit. Support it. And then let it drain some more. If you get really lucky, you can do this without making a mess. Like I said, most of the time there's usually oil on the floor by the time I'm done. So now it's mostly drained off. I'll go ahead, hold the trans pan up with one hand, get that other clamp out. Try to bring this down as evenly as possible. You'll still need to release your transmission filter. Let's see if I can get you a view of that. As you can see, oil on the floor. So the transmission pan is, or the filter, as soon as you pop that off, it'll drain off some more. So I'll leave the pan sitting under there a little bit like that. Tip it some more if you need to. And then you'll kind of rotate the pan like that. Make sure your catch pan's under the entirety of the transmission. Pull it out. You see there's a good amount of fluid there. I like to flip the filter out like that. There's that overflow pipe that just fell down. And take the old gasket off of the pan. And I'll usually just kind of set it up there for a minute. These oil pads are nice to have. Grab your transmission pan, take it over to a good work spot. I do it here on my workbench. Sometimes you can buy a new magnet. As you can see, I have a bunch just from previous transmission services. Replace the magnet usually. Since I have so many, lately I've just been taking the old one off and throwing it away and putting a new one on. But if you don't have a new one, I recommend getting some disposable shop towels or something like that. Taking the magnet, cleaning off all the metallic stuff. It's obviously normal to have some on there, otherwise Mercedes wouldn't have a magnet in there to catch it. Also, why Mercedes recommends your first transmission service at 4 years or 40,000 miles, and then every 8 years, 80,000 miles after that first service. Now that I got the majority of it cleaned off, as you can see, nice and clean. I'll usually wipe the magnet spot. Doesn't really matter. Personal preference. Some brake clean, parts cleaner. Clean off the seal edge. Yeah, like I said, get this transpan edge cleaned off, oil free. Grab your new transmission pan gasket. Make sure the gasket's all the way on there. It'll kind of ride up in some spots, that's normal. Now you'll need to grab your overflow pipe. Don't forget this. And then you just go ahead and click it on, just like that. And that's how full your transmission pan will be when the engine is running. It'll be fuller than that when the engine is off, so you have to check the trans fluid, put the engine on. Now you got that, grab your 6 new bolts. Get rid of all your old bolts. Throw in the new ones. Now you got your 6 new bolts prepared. Get yourself a rag, wipe off the edge. Sealing edge all the way around. Oh, you got a nice clean dry sealing surface. Next you'll grab your new transmission filter. So you'll take this, and right here is where that goes into. Click that up into place, and then I'll show you a tip right here. So right here you have these little tabs right there, and they kind of go over the edge of this rib here, so kind of it'll hang, but transpan will push up right on the filter and put it right where it needs to be. So now a couple checks: filters in, surface is clean, gaskets on, overflow pipe. If you're like me and you like to second guess yourself every now and then, when you have the pan in place, you can look in the drain or fill hole and see it. Hopefully you can see that. And then you'll put the pan up the same way you took it out. Go up sideways like this. Kind of rotate it around. And now that it's in place like that, you can kind of get your catch out of the way. This might stress some people out, but I've never had an issue doing it this way. So I'll put it on there first, grab the pan, get it up into place, and then just slowly get those started. So there's one started. Loosely get the other 5 up in place. I'll let the clamp hook it like that and then go up. That way the clamp doesn't try to spin on me. Again, just loosely. And this one, you'll want to, hopefully you can see this too. Right up there you got a little metal plate. Line up that and that. Just kind of wedge it up in there like that. That'll hold it. Take bolt number 6. Make sure it feels nice and in the hole. Gently line it up. So now the transpan should be able to move a little bit. Just kind of check the alignment. Make sure it's in the place of the old one. About the same amount of distance on either side. And then you can go ahead, get them up. I always do them finger tight since they only get torqued to 4 Newton meters to start. And then 180 degree turn after that 4 Newton meters. So go around, get them all about the same by hand. Like that. Grab your torque wrench right here. Got 4 Newton meters set right there. I always start in the middle here. Not much. I know wobblies take some of the torque out of the final torque number, but it's never been an issue for me, especially with torque to yield. Then once I got them all done like that, I'll go back over the first couple, as you usually get a little bit more since the gasket's squished down from all 6 being tightened. And I tend to just go over all of them one more time to make sure they're all at their 4 Newton meters. Consistency is key. So one thing I forgot to mention, one tool you'll need. I use this Blue Point quarter drive, since it's able to drive these bit style extensions. And I don't necessarily use a torque to yield or a torque angle torque wrench. 180 degrees is pretty easy to eyeball. So I'll start here, full right, and then go 180 degrees. Repeat that on all 6. Same thing. Be careful not to round this one off, as the angle can be kind of a pain. As you can see, 180. $180. So 180 on that one, and 180 on this one. Oop. So now you've got all 6 of those tight. Go ahead and reconnect these to the pin. And then this is where you'll need your fill adapter. Just put this in. Doesn't need to be tight. Connect it. I've put this hook on the hose, that way it holds the gun up where I need it. Or if I can get a little bit better light for you. So we'll fill it with 4 quarts to start. Air hose. Ours goes up to about 40 psi. Go ahead and fill, you said 4 quarts. Ooh, perfect. So 4 quarts, then you'll have to get up in the vehicle and start it. And the rest of this is done with the engine running. So I'll let it run for a second, cycle between drive and reverse a couple times, kind of get fluid moving. Now go back down underneath. And fill with the remaining 2 quarts. So 6 quarts. I suppose it's going to be kind of loud under there now with the engine running, so I'll try to do talking back here. I suppose there's one more thing I forgot to mention you'll want if you don't have like a diagnostics tool. I keep it simpler, so I have this multimeter from Amazon. It even comes with this thermometer. So I've modified this a little bit. It's literally just for transmission services. What I've gone ahead and done is put a magnet right here, and the temperature sits right inside of this little recess that I put there. I'll put this over to Fahrenheit. Let it sit right there on the bottom of the pan. Then I can monitor the temperature. And then so Mercedes says to check the fluid level between 40 and 45 degrees Celsius or 104 and 114 degrees Fahrenheit. So once it gets up to 104 degrees, I'll go ahead and remove that and let it drain off. I'll show you that process here in a minute. Alright, so we're just about there on temperature. It's been almost 40 minutes since we've had it running. So it does take a little while to get it up to temperature. One thing I do like to do, kind of give myself an additional confirmation that I've torqued the bolts and, you know, done everything right, is I'll add some warranty seal to all the bolts. It's kind of like a little signature for me, so when they come in I know that I'm the one that did the service. And next, I want to grab the drain plug. And then, like I said, this is where these come in handy because this crush washer is usually on there pretty good. So I'll just snip it, peel it off. And I get the new one, set it in place like that. And then next is where this comes in handy. So stick the hex through like that. Get the drain plug on there. You can turn it. As you can see, it's been dripping a little bit. Probably should have had the caddy under there. Alright, so we're close enough at 102 degrees. Go ahead, pop that off. Take your adapter out. That's really bright. Let that flow until it starts spitting. So you see it starting to do that. Go ahead and let it flow out until it starts doing that like that. Now you got the drain plug in place. And then I don't normally torque. I'll just go until I feel the crush washer crush, so not crazy tight, but definitely tight enough. Now I can get all this out of my way. I like to add the warranty seal to the drain plug as well. Again, a little confirmation that it was tightened down properly. And that is the process of changing the transmission fluid in the 7229 transmission. Started at about 10 a.m. So it took about an hour and 45 minutes to complete, start to finish, with the added steps of, recording and stuff like that. So it is a bit more involved than a simple oil change and things like that. But if you've liked what you've seen and you want to see more Sprinter content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And then if you have any suggestions or recommendations, please feel free to comment those below. Thanks for checking out my channel and my video.